Alright, welcome back to Disco Elysium. Let's go outside here. Long loading screen. Alright, what do we have here?
All around you, rain falls on the great city of Revachol. Rain drips from the eaves and floods the gutters,
Oh,
washing
nice.
the filth away.
I haven't had this before. The nice zoom out and overview of the area. That's a Shivers thing, and I like it.
The spring thaw must be here. The snow is melting. Looking up at the sky, cold water dripping from your hair.
What do I see?
Grey sky like great battleships, clouds colliding with one another. Rain falls down on the world.
How does it feel?
Your shirt sticks to your chest. The shoulders of your disco blazer grow heavy. The cold finds its way in under your skin. You shiver, and the city shivers with you.
Ugh. Cold finds its way under your skin. What's in the west?
Sheets of rain over the water. A flight of stairs leading into the ocean. Wave after wave washing the coast of Martinaise, with its motorboats and gently swaying reeds. The ruins of a half-sunken sea fort crumble on an inlet beyond the Bay of Revachol. Ghosts rise into the sky.
Who are you,
The
ghosts?
skyscrapers of La Delta, the financial district. Faint golden light seeps from the office windows. Will you ever go there?
Will I?
No, you are just one of the hundreds of thousands who watch them rise across the bay from Martinaise every day.
What is down the shore?
Urban coastline, rain dripping off Eternite-covered roofs, cinder blocks left over from half-finished construction, a defunct research and development building, once seized by revolutionaries. An old wooden church stands on stilts above the water.
This is nice. I like seeing it like this, especially the quote-unquote doomed commercial area building, right? It's a piece of rubble, and I didn't realize earlier how bad it was. I like this little zoom out, gives the whole area a new kind of context. And beyond that,
Coal City, end of all lines.
run your fingers through your dampened hair. Your hair is an oily mess, flecked with ash from neighboring coal plants. Smokestacks rise somewhere in the distance. What's in the east?
The great gates of the industrial harbor are locked.
I can
A
see him
chill
here.
runs down your back. You shudder like an animal trying to shake water from its hide.
Shake your shoulders again.
You shudder, looking down at your feet. Dirty rainwater runs veins into the plaza's snow. Two green snakeskin shoes stand at attention on the mosaic paving of the plaza.
What's in the north?
Tower blocks crowd one another. 4.46mm bullets still lodged in their war-torn stone walls. Hallways collapse from the mortar hits of a war that was lost long ago. Clotheslines go to waste in the rain. Radios play.
And closer to here?
A yard. Rain falls onto the roof of a woodshed. Coal leaks into a puddle beneath a dead man's feet. He swings from a tree, bloated. Droplets of rain slip from his cold cheeks.
What's in the south?
A traffic jam. Rain thrumming on the roofs of motor vehicles. Inside, drivers watch water streaming down their windshields. The statue of a king shudders. He too is cold. The canal bridge has been raised.
What's on the other side?
The road ascends. A raised motorway loops above the ghetto. Beneath its concrete columns, a sea of rooftops, woodwork, and tar stretches northward. 4-story buildings as far as the rain can fall. The snows melt in Jamrock. Revachol is the capital of the world. Jamrock is the capital of Revachol.
Right.
Droplets form on your eyelashes.
Because we're in it, right?
It's home.
Where the hood, where the hood, where the hood at?
Have a brother in the cut. Where the hood at?
Shivers has a different voice too? Why am I not there?
To be in Martinez, where no one goes, at the runoff point of a long-forgotten canal, in the whitest part of town, in the shadow of the day the revolution failed.
What am I doing here?
Standing in the rain, looking north, where Jamrock Rock City stretches inland.
Nice little reference to Detroit there.
In the rain-swept distance, above the rooftops of Jamrock, a repurposed silk mill stands perched above the motorway exit. Precinct 41 hunches in the rain.
I mean, so far Shivers has been describing the game area mostly, and actual areas that we'll get to explore later on, right? Not this though, we'll never get to Precinct 41 actually.
Satellite officer Jean Vichmer rushes
Wow.
down the precinct stairs, umbrella in hand. It's unopened. He doesn't seem pleased about the spring rain.
That's nice. That's something we only get to see with the high Shivers in combination with high esprit de corps, right?
On the bridge, officers Torsen and McLean are standing guard. Torsen wears jeans and a fishnet wife beater.
Lovely.
Satellite officer Vichmer passes by, and the young man remarks to him,
Where's your homo, homie?
What?
It's not like that. They're what is called heterosexual life partners. They have a battle-tested relationship. A brotherbund, if you will.
Isn't Broderbund actually a game developer or publisher too? I'm not quite sure. Wait, let me look this up. Or maybe not. Like, I'm not quite sure what games they've made, but I'm pretty sure it is. But I mean, obviously it also means a band between brothers, or union between brothers. I've never had this conversation before in this game.
Huh? Yeah.
Hetero, sexual, life, partners.
I mean, we get to like talk to or have them talk in the background a little bit. These people, Jean Vichmer and Mac Torsen and Chester McLean, when we call our station over Kim's radio in the Kinema, right? But we haven't like heard them talk just through our Shivers and our esprit de corps.
Funny apery. Male-centric workplace humor. Have you seen him?
Male-centric workplace humor, nice. Vichmer struggles with his umbrella. The ribs are protruding from its canopy.
Is there something wrong?
No, nothing. It's just... Judith went to his place and found the Monday mail unopened. I think he's still there. You didn't drink with him over the weekend, did you?
That's a nice little bit of background here. Judith, we're going to meet her later too. As a colleague of ours. She went to my place. Oh.
That would be irresponsible.
With that animal? Never again, man. What is he, still down there? In, south of the interchange? What was it?
In Martinez. He's in Martinez.
Your vision blurs. You wipe your face
Nice.
with your hand. The rain stings your eyes, making you look up and blink.
So that's in the south. So I think Martinez is quite far north, right? Because it says north are more Martinez residential towers. Yet the coast is on the west. So I suppose it's on the northwest end of the Isola. What's above?
Coalition aerostatics hang like apparitions under the cloud cover. Way up there, where rain forms, rotors flutter silently. Your sight clears.
What's below?
Collapsed storm drains, old sewage systems flooded with rainwater. Hidden weapon caches from the revolution. doors leading down to Loroyam, the catacombs to which, for 3 centuries, they delivered the blue-blooded dead.
Motherfucker.
This rain will not let up anytime soon. You should get a raincoat. There's a freight to the east. They sell them there.
I also think Kim saying this is restricted to the Shivers action. Probably because we stand here for a while and shudder off the rain. But I imagine, at least in my headcanon, all of this were just flashes in our character's mind, right? And it probably took a whole, like, 3 seconds or 5 seconds or so. Okay, so if Kim says that, let's actually do that. I mean, no, we don't have money. Was it like $4, I think, right? Because I would have liked to get the money first. The raincoat, I mean. A heap of snow melts in this wheelbarrow. The street sign reads, "Fuck the police." Pigs go home. The street name is illegible. Let's talk to her.
The RCM in Martinez. What can I help you with?
You sound surprised.
We don't see a lot of police around here. That's all.
I have some questions for you.
Course. What can I help you with?
What's this fuck the police business?
Excuse me?
She doesn't understand.
She's uncomfortable. Maybe you should drop this line of questioning.
This street sign says, "Fuck the police."
Oh. Well, I didn't write it there. I'm just sitting here.
What about the other sign, "Pigs go home"? Who are these pigs?
I don't know anything about that either. As I said, I didn't write it.
Even if she didn't write it, she should clean it.
You should clean it up if you get a chance. Be a citizen. Be a winner.
Okay.
She straightens her back. +5 XP, damn right.
She's probably not gonna do it.
Who are you exactly?
Me? I am just a gardener.
Good to meet you, just a gardener. Another question then.
I am pleased to meet you too, officer.
We need
Since
directions.
the street sign's messed up? Okay. What do you need?
Where am
What do
I?
you mean?
Just tell me where we are, okay?
We're in Martinez, sir. This intersection is called Roundabout North, I think.
The camera was slightly crooked there. I'm looking for a dead body.
Oh, that's right there, in the yard.
She points north.
She's relieved someone has come for it. Finally.
What is up in the north? We just had this Shivers conversation, but we can try and verify with her as well.
There's the pier, the Cape Side apartment buildings, some more tenements. Not a lot, really.
Seems like Shivers were right. What's in the east?
The harbor gates, some kind of commotion, I think. I don't follow the local politics. A fleet store, too.
Well, that's a lie. That she doesn't follow local politics. What's in the south?
Some shops and a bridge. The canal bridge leads to the coast, but it's broken, I think. Some kind of accident, probably.
What's on the other side of the canal?
Just coast. There's a little fishing village there, and a fish market. But that got closed down ages ago.
Rows of stalls under a broad roof, where silvery fish were heaped on newspapers.
Nice.
Water everywhere, pouring from the heavens in the shadow of the old church.
I love Shivers so far. What kind of fish market is this?
I don't know. The abandoned kind? It used to gather every spring, but there's nothing to do there now. Just drug addicts.
It's in the west.
It's just water. No, actually, I think they call it the Martinez Inlet. There are some islands in the bay, but they're hard to reach. No problem.
That's all for now. Have to run.
Of course. I won't hold you back.
She wipes her brow with a canary yellow glove.
Her gloves. You get the feeling that you need them. You have a dead body to deal with after all.
one more thing. Can I borrow your gloves?
Sure, keep them. I have another pair.
She hands you the rubber gloves with no visible annoyance.
Really? None. Maybe just a tiny bit of annoyance.
Thank you. Thick latex gardening gloves in classic canary yellow. Maybe you should retire or take up gardening as a hobby. It's worth a thought. +1 interfacing. Bye bye bugs. Look at other stuff too. Disco ass blazer. Esprit de corps halogen watermarks. Looks like someone skinned this blazer off some long extinct disco animal. It has an enigmatic white rectangle on the back and the right sleeve. Shirt. White satin shirt. +1 conceptualization, a real statement to wear. -1 suggestion, unsavory odor. I mean, I'm not very good on conceptualization anyways, and I do wanna use my suggestion a little bit since it's a body attribute, so I think I'm just gonna... Don't mind me, I'm just gonna take my blazer off and then take my helmet off and walk around like this. Pants. This white satin shirt used to be fancy. It used to really catch the light. Now it smells like someone took a piss in the armpits. Flare-cut trousers. Beautiful. Savoir-faire. Tied round the thighs. +1 electrochemistry. Tied round the crotch. I love it. These golden brown trousers are flare-cut. Normal bell-bottom trousers would be boot-cut, but these are far from normal. They are someone's piss-soaked, cum-stained party pants. Lovely. Horrific, or as the game says, horrific necktie. +1 Inland Empire. Vivid imagination. It's beautiful. The necktie is adorned with a garish pattern. It's disturbingly vivid. Somehow you feel as if it would be wrong to ever take it off. It's your friend now. You will betray it if you change it for some boring scarf. And lastly, green snakeskin shoes. +1 composure, -1 savoir-faire. Awesome watchtower heels seems ridiculously high. Since motorics, so yellow, all our skills are bad, we can keep this on. Composure versus savoir-faire is a fine trade-off. They may have lost some of their luster over the years, but these green crocodile leather shoes fit you perfectly. Right, so what do we want to be doing? Where can I get some money? I did get this pin. Oh, that's 320. That's almost enough to buy a raincoat with. And of course we are like super lazy, so we're not going to the body at all right now. There are bottles inside. You can pick them up if you had a bag.
This Post Levantorie mail collection box has been heavily vandalized with graffito. A closer inspection reveals 2 bullet holes in the front.
Fuck you, mail delivery box.
There is a hollow, saddened ring as you kick the Levantorie mail collection box. It sounds betrayed, in disbelief even.
Disbelief even.
Your toe has suffered damage.
Failure.
It hurts.
Damage. Oh, we could have made this, I think.
Cool. You really showed that mail collection box.
You think so? You think it was cool?
I don't. Let's go.
He must see the box as the weaker of the two, and you as a bully. Something he doesn't stand for.
Alright, we'll apologize. Good mail delivery box.
The mail collection box has no faith in your psychopathic manipulations.
Lovely. This coin-operated viewer has been banged up, inoperable. Better you watch your mouth around me, boy. Yellow plastic bag. Frites. Equip this to collect tear from the streets. Yes, I do want to equip this. Ah, the sea, and now it starts snowing. We should really get that raincoat, shouldn't we? Alright, let's check a few more. The ad reads broken window. Tibbs has windows. Check a few more trash cans for bottles. To roundabout north. To Capeside Apartments, Martinez Pier. There's also bottles up here. Okay, so Lena said something about a pawn shop down here. An ancient fountain. It doesn't pump water anymore. There's a tree in it. Let's check out the pawn shop and sell our pin. A sewer grate. A gateway to the river of filth. Can I enter it? No. I do see more bottles though. Everything is good here. Right. This must be where the pawn shop is, right? Ooh, fingerless gloves plus 1 electrochemistry. I'll put these on right away. Beautiful. Oh, we should read the description too. Cigarette-stained fingertips. Gasoline-stained fingerless gloves in navy blue. They've been worn threadbare, but being made of wool still provides some warmth and comfort. Roy's Pawn Shop. Fast cash for faster times. Lots of things here. Some kind of machine, an antique cash register. A bust of a woman. The plaque simply says Day. It's Dolores Day, of course. In the dark, a film projector is whirring away. Welcome to the pawn shop. Mostly military wear, with a few more eccentric fashions thrown in.
It's not often that I see officers from the RCM in my pawn shop.
The man at the counter turns to you slowly.
What can I do for you?
His courtesy is not insincere, but he prefers being alone with his projector, just watching the movement of light across the walls of the shop.
It's shameful how insufficient the police presence is in these parts.
I haven't had any problems myself, though some of my customers have complained about inconsistent law enforcement.
Who are your customers usually?
All kinds of people come through here. Locals, travelers, people looking for a deal, people looking for a keepsake. People who are terminally bored.
Terminally bored is a nice term.
As you can see, I have a wide selection of goods for everyone to choose from.
This is more like a left-wing answer, I think, right? Honestly, I think some of your selections are press your finger to your lips. What does that mean? More tasteful than others? this is the left wing one. This business plan is all over the place. You should specialize, zoom in, recapitalize. That's the ultra-liberal one, right? So this is probably the moralist one, and this is the fascist one?
It keeps me entertained.
Or maybe not. He responds, unimpressed with your snobbery.
Entertained. He might be high. If he is, on what?
Ooh. What's he on?
Feeling warm and enthralled by the movement of light, while the mind continues to race forward. Lucky bastard. He's probably on the Whirlidon. It's tough to come by on the street.
We want it.
A drug developed by the military to treat and prevent radiation sickness. It has psychedelic side effects, and it makes your eyes turn yellow.
Sir, could you take off your sunglasses? I'd like to check your eyes.
Why on earth? These are prescription. I can't really see without them.
He staggers away from the glass, but quickly recomposes himself.
There's a note of indignation in his voice. Interesting.
Indeed.
Those triangle patches on his vest, you have a feeling they mean something, like they're similar to the halogen rectangle on your jacket.
Say, what's with the triangles on your vest? Let's use this information Esprit de Corps gave us.
I was with the Emergency Relief Brigade. You know, after the People's Pile disaster.
He coughs, as if to mark his words.
Had to take Whirlidon for radiation sickness. That's what you were hinting at just now, wasn't it?
He's taken it for mental and emotional, not physical pain these days.
I like the way they're phrasing that. I mean, obviously this is our inner voice speaking, but it's not electrochemistry, you know, the relentlessly and the basically our bad side telling us to take drugs. Irresponsible, I wanted to say, yeah. But it's pain threshold, and it's basically saying, not saying like, look at this stupid drug addict, whatever. It's like, yeah, he's still taking it, not because he has physical pain, but he still has a lot of mental and emotional pain. And it's not like saying that that's good for him, but it's an explanation beyond, you know, he's just like immoral or weak-willed or whatever stupid take you could have on drug addiction. What's the people pile?
A bad idea. Some poor leftist built a particle decay generator in hopes of bringing affordable electricity to underserved communities. It malfunctioned. Radioactive waste everywhere. Probably some of it in you too.
I'm wondering whether this is like a Chernobyl reference. I mean, obviously the Soviet Union was a bit more than some poor leftists, but that one malfunctioned too. Tell me more about this emergency relief brigade you're a part of.
We were an all-volunteer force, self-organized. Tried to help the fire brigades contain the spill.
Points at the white triangle on his orange safety jacket. And that's nice. There's also another nice way of giving this character some background and humanizing him, right? It's something that we don't necessarily find out. We only find it out if we make this check. What was it? That tells us he's on drugs or something? Electrochemistry check. Right. It's a medium one. But there's a chance we're not going to get to hear this at all. But we find out he wasn't always like a down on his luck pawn shop owner. But he was a volunteer, and he tried to help out his community, and he has his own history, and there were consequences from that. And actually, his trying to help didn't turn out for the best for him, right? Quite the contrary. And yeah, a bit of a tragic backstory here.
Tough son of a gun, this one. Respect.
Indeed. And again, it's a very humanized character that's very distinctly working class. And yeah, as I said, I appreciate that, especially about this game.
I lived by the river since I was a small boy. The Esperance. Didn't have the art to let it all go to shit without trying to do something to help out. There wasn't much the volunteer force could do, however. We wasted years in the river mud. Years getting sick.
Yeah, he sacrificed quite a lot for his community there. I mean, it's similar to the cleanup teams in Chernobyl after the disaster, right? Except a lot of them didn't live for very long after. I think most of them died within a year of working on the reactor after it had blown up, trying to seal it. I got crazy radiation sickness, and they were aware of that, of course, going in. But like, yeah, a lot of those heroic volunteers said, someone's got to do it, or everyone will be affected, and that's quite the sacrifice. Must have been tough, radioactive cleanup.
There's a reason why everyone's tried to forget any of it ever happened, and why no one has tried to repair or replace the pile. So much disappointment, and early deaths. Cancer mostly. And we knew all that was coming even as we were cleaning up as best we could.
Whose fault was it that the generator failed?
No one's. Everyone's.
So much bitterness.
Deservedly so.
A bunch of poor people built themselves a primitive nuclear reactor, hoping for the best. What do you think is going to happen?
How did you end up running a pawn shop?
The cleanup happened 15 years ago. I was young then. Later, my second aunt died. Left me this shack and all the assorted junk in it. So I came to Martinez. People told me don't go there. It's a shithole. I said, people, we just had a nuclear pile meltdown. I'm gonna get as far away from Forberg as I can. Still in the same city, but...
Right, and remember we were, like, I just said he's very distinctly working class, but remember our definitions from Marxist theory in the last episode, where I said capitalists own businesses, or just a lot of wealth that they live off, and working class people work for a living and sell their labor to capitalists. And according to that definition, Roy here is a capitalist, of course, because he doesn't sell his labor, he's actually a pawn shop owner. In his case, I mean, he doesn't have any employees because he can't afford them. And it's a very small business, so there's certainly difference within the classes too. Thank you for telling me.
I like the theory more than the story. Outward movement, not vortices.
Yeah, you gotta get in on those vortices, my man.
Care to share your pyrrolidon with me?
Have you tried it before?
It's almost like he's worried for you. The lieutenant steps away, pretending to admire some of the knickknacks on display.
No, I don't
Looks
have
like he doesn't want to get involved.
I don't have an out-of-control, drug-addicted colleague.
Go ahead then, he thinks. As long as you can walk straight, I don't care.
Alright, the pyro every day. No, he won't give it to me then, I think. I liked it.
Here you go, man.
Presents a large cap-shaped object on the palm of his hand, very odd-looking.
Yes, darling. That's the coalition government ordained pyrrolidon. Straight into your gut. Not so sure about this.
Yeah, another thing I just thought of remembering Roy and his class status is that yes, he's a business owner and he's not a worker in the strict sense, but his business is also one that doesn't employ a lot of people, and the business owner lords over them. It's basically an employee-owned business, right? Because he is the only employee. So very small businesses that don't have any employees, they take kind of a bit of an extra status. I mean, technically they have the characteristics of a collective too, except there's only one person. But still, power is equally distributed. There's no one who's just selling their labor to you. So his business is not only in size, but structurally very different than a business like Wild Pines. Thanks, man.
Of course.
There's something I'd like to sell.
Let me have a look.
I'd like to sell my clothes.
I'm not purchasing any more clothing at the moment.
He looks you up and down quickly.
And especially that tie. It swallows photons around it. I have no
Wow.
need for necrotic objects.
There's something up with his tie, right? Suddenly his gaze fixes on your tie. He steps back from the glass.
Your mother is a necrotic object! I'm fun! Look at me sparking in the light of the projector!
I love that. Your mother is a necrotic object. I have this commemorative pin, but before I sell it I have some questions.
Don Baptiste's summer dinghy rates is 31. What a pleasant time that was.
He studies the pin carefully, rolling it around in his palm.
So, what do you want to know? Price? I can give you 320 for it.
320? That's a rip-off.
Pin from 31 ought to be priced at 310, but I added another 10 cents just to be nice.
Really, dude? Do you mean to tell me that all your prices are completely arbitrary? Because they are, of course.
Sure thing. So, do you want to sell anything?
I'll check my pockets.
Anything else you're thinking of selling?
Pawn. Right.
Another time, perhaps.
You might be able to aid our investigation.
I doubt it, but I can try and answer any questions you may have.
Know anything about the recent hanging?
I do my best to keep my distance from all manner of butchery. Bad for business. Bad for everyone.
No one likes to see what you have to see every day.
That's all I've got.
The pawnbroker's gaze is already fixed on the dancing colors.
I have other business to take care of now. So we'll go around the shop a little bit before we leave.
You see rows of toy soldiers guarding the rest of the trinkets displayed on the table. Some on horseback, others in rags, others yet in bright blue uniforms. All are stern and unyielding in their duty. Try to find something pretty and cool here. Then use it to win her back.
Win her back?
Yes. Buy something nice. A figurine. This sounds off. You shouldn't trust this guy. Big men on big horses, clad in lamella armor and carrying flintlocks, the kind that would mow down a line of enemy soldiers in the blink of an eye.
Who are these? What are they?
Franco-Nigerian knights. I used to be very serious about these guys.
He looks at the dusty figurines in the dim light.
A long, long time ago.
As a kid, that is.
This set of soldiers isn't meant to look impressive. A few have rifles, but most of them carry pistols. Some even shovels and tall sticks.
Are these even soldiers?
You're probably talking about the revolutionaries, yes? Yes, they are soldiers, revolutionary soldiers. I think their poverty has been exaggerated for effect. When you place them next to the Royalists, it doesn't seem like they could possibly win.
Ask my friend Garte whose bitch it made me. That's probably moralist, right? Or the boring answer. Neoliberal? Or left wing? This could also be left wing. I think this is the fascist one. The contrast is meant to be disheartening, as it ought to be. Yeah, revolutionaries should be disheartened.
I don't like either set very much, to be honest. But there are many parents among my customers.
He seems to have his own take on the conflict played out in perpetuity by these toys. Might be interesting to find out what it is.
Spare the blue uniforms.
They're not all blue. These figurines also wear gold coats and caps, complemented by orange trousers. They are variously posed, wielding swords and rifles with bayonets.
Are these royalist soldiers?
Which ones? Ah, those. Yes, they are. I find the paint job a bit gaudy, but children like the bright colours indiscriminately.
It's also an interesting observation. Children would usually prefer, I would imagine, at least that's true from my past as a kid, would not prefer the revolutionaries here, right? They would prefer the royalist forces. Not because children are, like, inherently pro-monarchy or anything, but especially smaller children, I don't know. There's something to this. I mean, even in old westerns, when I was very little, I used to, like, root for, you know, the cavalry always, and these uniformed men on horsebacks and stuff. And not for the, you know, Native Americans or anything. I mean, obviously later when I became more political, that changed significantly. But it's interesting that as a kid, you're like very much drawn to this aesthetic. And I don't know if that's because it's like subconsciously like shoved down our throats so much. And that ideology is just everywhere in society and you pick it up that way as a child, or if you know, just right-wing forces in history often seem to have a very keen sense of style's the wrong word, but aesthetics, right? And obviously if you look to history and especially to fascism, that was very true. The fascists were very conscious of their aesthetics, of like clean and powerful and uniform and elegant aesthetics. Famously, the German Nazi officers got their uniforms from Hugo Boss, right? Who designed them for the Nazis specifically to look uniform and look like a force to be reckoned with, and also at the same time, you know, like strong and official in a way. And it's actually a lot of the allure of early fascism in the 1920s went back to that with less political people, right? It was a chaotic time politically, and with everything they did, fascists, like it was often like democracy was in its earliest stages, monarchy was just overthrown a lot of the times in Europe. People were unsure how things would develop. Some people, more conservative elements of society, still wanted the monarchy back to some degree often, right? So with everything they did and even how they appeared in public, fascists, especially in Germany, but also in Italy and other countries, tried to project themselves as a force of order, as something that, you know, is just there and it's just a fact of life and makes sense and radiates like, you know, elegance and stuff like that. They were very conscious of that. The first among the very right-wing groups in the early 20th century in Europe who did this were the Italian fascists, who harkened back to ancient Rome a lot of the times. A lot of their aesthetics went back to ancient Rome, but then they also combined that with a very, very technological and modernist and military aesthetic. Modern military aesthetic, like tanks mixed with like these straight uniforms, elegant uniforms, strong muscles on men, like strong body in a strong, you know, in a strong tank, in a strong uniform, basically. They did that to big effect. Mussolini was very conscious of that, and also the Union of British Fascists were very conscious of that. All of their public demonstrations, whenever they had parades or whatever, and they were not like the dominant force in British politics, right? They were like an emerging political movement in the 1920s, but they tried to radiate this officialness and elegance and whatever. And at some point, I don't know what British politicians it were. Neville Chamberlain was later. He was like in the late 30s prime minister, right? I think he was only prime minister for 4 years. I'm not entirely sure. But some prime minister, it was either Neville Chamberlain or the one who came before him. Neville Chamberlain was a Labour PM, of course. They had the quite brilliant idea, to be frank, to just outlaw the Nazi uniform in public. And from that point on, I mean, it's very wrong to say that was the only or probably the most important factor, but it was certainly a factor in reducing the influence of fascism in British society. And it had a lot of influence. It had growing influence, much like in Germany and in other countries in Europe, right? There was a non-negligible danger that they would take over Britain just as fascists would continue to take over other countries in the 1930s in Europe. And so that was a pretty brilliant move. Was just like, was very conscious of the fact that the fascists used that to their advantage. It was just like, okay, if you can't like make your big parades in the streets in your fancy uniforms, then a lot of your allure is gone. And I always found that fascinating, how much of like of the allure of that ideology is tied to aesthetics. Sometimes even more so than content. I mean, obviously it's also the content, but that some people really connect to, but it's the aesthetics too. And yeah, but not to downplay like the heroic contributions of British anti-fascists in the 1920s and 30s, who organized and fought relentlessly against the fascist threat. Most notably, I mean, it all came to a head in the battle for Cable Street, which I think was in the 20s. I don't know which year exactly, 1920s. Where there was one, and I'm not entirely sure if that was before or after the uniform ban in Britain, but there definitely was a big fascist march planned through London, I believe, and specifically through a area of London that had a reputation of being very left-wing and very working class, right? So it was supposed to be a demonstration of power, and a lot of labor activists and a lot of union activists were fighting and organizing against these right-wing forces back then, and they got wind of that planned march through Cable Street or through that area of London, and they organized a counter demonstration, counter march, and blockaded the Nazis. And if I remember correctly, There was also a lot of police there, and per usual, as is still the case today, unfortunately, the police, while officially not on anyone's side, right, were teaming up with the fascists and beating up labor organizers. But in the end, they lost, I think. In the end, that area of London, and unfortunately, I'm not sure what the area is called, the area where Cable Street is. They won and they drove him out, and was like a big symbolic victory for anti-fascists in Britain, and a very important part in the struggle against Britain becoming fascist too. So yeah, I just wanted to make sure to mention that too when talking about fighting fascism in Britain. But it was a real threat there too, as it was in many other countries, even those who didn't end up having fascist governments. As a huge fascist movement in the United States too. Which came together with the specifically American forms of extreme right-wing ideologies. The Ku Klux Klan was a big thing in the 1910s, I think, and also early 1920s. Who was like a rabidly right-wing racist group, of course, that was primarily anti-black. And all of that fit together in American politics very well. Like, right-wing extremism has been part and parcel of American politics since the start of that country, basically, right? And obviously, also in the US, there were like a lot of heroic anti-fascist activists who organized and who fought very hard to make sure that threat was under control, at least somewhat, even though, you know, thankfully the United States ended up fighting against the Nazis, but the US policies have been pretty consistently hard right. Anyhow. But yeah, still, that's enough of a tangent for now. I don't think we can make this check, but I'll try. Dig up a truly cool figurine in the box under the table.
Everything you pick out seems faded, chipped, and sad somehow. Most of them are just broken toys.
Step away from the table. Right, there's also this.
A typical Martinez streetlight sits among assorted floor and table lamps.
Let your gaze run over it.
The light pole has been carefully cut, and the wiring has been redone and attached to a standard indoor plug.
I'll be right back.
The light buzzes faintly, but persistently.